classrooms in the 5 different schools.
Okay, and then the second part is, if we're looking at, we're cutting that $419,000, but how much of that then will be spent on educating those kids in the regular ed program then? How much of the savings really is there? Because you still have to educate those kids. Maybe I'm not wording this correctly. The kids still have to be educated, whether they're educated in the Montessori program or they're educated in the regular ed program. And we understand that some of the kids are probably going to leave if we eliminate that program and go to the charter school or whatever else they would want to do. But not all of them will. Not all of them even have that as an opportunity. It's still going to cost money to educate them. So what's going to be the difference? How much of that is still going to be spent on educating those kids in regular ed?
If I follow that correctly, and this is where I kind of confuse some people, and I apologize. I don't look at it that way because those kids are going to go into classrooms that are already being educated. So the cost to educate the existing classroom is just going to have 2 or 3 more kids in it, okay? That cost at $419 is because we combine, if we do it, closing the program with offering an early retirement system where we get our top 4 people on the books off the books, because there's 4 teachers in Montessori. So I don't know how best to explain it to make that understandable, but I look at it as when we do that, there's 4 positions that we don't have to fill. So the top 4 people that go and retire with their top salary and their benefits are not being replaced and they're coming off the books. That's the $419,000 you see. How much does it cost to educate those kids? How much more when they go into the regular classroom? I'm going to say not much, because they're still, you're paying utilities, you're paying supplies. You might have incidental supplies, a couple extra books, but that isn't going to increase a whole lot because it's already being provided.
I think another way, somebody help me out, you might be going on the presumption that this is the Montessori classroom and I'm teaching it. Now we don't have it. All the audience now goes into other classrooms. This classroom is now empty. If we were to hire someone to replace me, which would be needed, then your theory is correct. But if because this is a question that I asked, what are we going to do with this room? And we have a purpose for the room. It isn't instructional for the kids. So that when the other classes absorb those kids, they put them over in those chairs over there and a couple over there, you've now taken the cost of educating in that one room, you've just divided it by a different number, a higher number. But I think that's what you're going on, is we would hire somebody for that room. And that's not what we're doing.
That's not exactly what
Let me interject. What they do is they take it's like a cost center. So if you're in business, you have a cost center. The classroom is the cost center. So it has a finite cost. Whether you have 5 kids or 10 kids, the cost to operate that room. Because you're already going to have books for 20 people, 25 people. So excuse the term, putting 1 or 2 more kids in each room, that cost center is not going up. That cost center is already there. Does that make a little bit of sense?
That kind of happens now. That kind of happens now when they leave 3rd grade. Unless, I know there's probably a few that might go to Sterrettania, but most of them stay with us. And they come into 4th grade. And we absorb them. And we teach them. And it doesn't cost us anymore because they're coming into an existing classroom.
Yeah, per PA code, your 4th grade classroom can have more students per teacher. It can have a higher student-to-teacher ratio, I think in 3, 4, and 5, versus K1, 2. Can you just show us and show the board what even just this year's enrollment looks like at Bell Valley and Grandview K through 3, and then show me what the class increase now would be when you put the 10 in each classroom, or however it works out. Show that for Bell Valley, show that for Grandview, just as objective evidence, because you're just saying where we think will be okay. But I think to make this decision, we need to know we're going to be okay, because then that cost savings is not real.
Not where it would go per classroom, but a rough estimate of tracking some down some students.
So I appreciate it. Sounds like you've looked at it. maybe just putting it in a different format to share it next time would be of value, because
Okay. We can try, because you know, you get into the summertime and there's some kids, you might run into some school choice issues and kids having to go back to their home base, and what if that classroom's full? So it's not, I'll be the first to tell you, it's not just an easy fix. I mean, we have to sit down and really look at it and strategically do our best to keep those class sizes as reduced as possible.
I mean, I can give some rough estimate. If we looked at how many pre-K students we have going into K next year, you know, 2 of them would stay at Bell Valley. 2 of them would go to Tracy, and these are their home schools, so this is if everything falls into place as currently looks. 1 of them goes to Asbury, 2 to Bell Valley, 1 to Chestnut Hill, and 2 to Tracy. So assimilating 1 to 2 kids back into 3, 4, 5 rows is not that challenging.
But that's also
that's-
not including children coming in kindergarten enrollment that maybe weren't in the pre-K, that are
But
choosing
that's
Montessori
still
coming into the
only
district.
1 or 2 students added, you know, per the 3, 4, or 5 rounds that they would have at the
How can you
school.
predict though new kindergartners choosing a Montessori program over a
Whatever
regular
that-
kindergarten?
so that's why I say look at this year. Look at the kindergartens that are enrolled this year and how they would spread across the kindergarten classrooms that exist today. I think that gives you an idea for a prediction for next year. And it looks like you've already looked at it and it might work out, but I think it's worth showing those numbers. PA code has rules and our district targets are less than that. So according to a couple years ago, Paulinier gave me district targets. Maybe you're making a face.
I think I
maybe they
remember
haven't.
I think I remember those emails from a couple years
They were
ago.
better than, they were
Okay.
better than PA code, that's like,
Right.
the
We
state
as a
saying-
district determine our class sizes.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Hearing none? Good.
I had one question concerning VOTAC. Does Erie City contribute to VOTAC?
No, they have their own
They have their own.
They have their own, which would be
central tech.
Central Tech. Now, is Central Tech operating at capacity? Would there be any opportunity to work with the city? of
Already?
Erie?
Yes, they are, and yes, that's on the list. Next topic.
Next time, okay.
I'll talk to you after the meeting.
I gotta add, that's a good question. Just, when the renovation project was up, wasn't there a spot for our own VOTEC here? In the middle school?
Correct.
That was looked at doing that.
Yeah,
The
the
renovation project got stopped, so.
issue with that is the number of program offerings between the two and how our kids would fit into what they offer versus what's out at the VOTEC. And I don't think you can stop a child from going out to that one if they want to go because you're participating exclusively with Central Tech, I think is the issue, if I recall when we looked at it a little while ago. But we were going to revisit it for that reason.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure can.
We, as I said, we were down to 3 options. We gave you the 3. Don't raise taxes, go to the index, go above, and apply for exceptions. And then the budget came out, we brought forward a 4th option, which is, as I've said, it's between raising taxes and it's under the index. I think we can do this. Could we vote tonight? I would love to bring you 2 options at the committee of the whole. One option being the tax increase, where we look at the $1 million as an option. The second option would be go to the index and raise taxes and give you those 2, which means I may ask you to vote off of the island the other 2. Yeah, we're not raising taxes at all. And we're certainly not going to go above the index and ask for exceptions. But I would open the floor up for discussion about that, because then that would help us come forward next committee of the whole in a week with 2 sound options. Everybody knows kind of where we're at, and everybody knows what we're not going to do.
And Mr. President, can't you do that with so many board members missing
No,
this
we
evening?
have a quorum.
Oh.
We have a quorum. I guess, yeah.
The